Zekas from NewHomeNotebook. I'm sitting here with Matt Garrison, who's the managing director.
Yeah, managing director works.
Coldwell Banker, Matt Garrison Group.
Yes.
And Matt is one of those people in the trade they call a super agent. He probably wouldn't give himself that title, but I think a lot of other people do. And sitting on the background over here, who may chime in if he feels like it, is Mike Scotty, who's the CEO of our company. Matt, we want to talk about the market, although we probably don't want to talk too much about the market because everybody knows what it is.
Yeah.
More along the lines of how should people be navigating through this market? And buyers are in a state of almost paralysis, from what I hear.
Yeah.
Should they be?
Well, I think it depends on their situation. But you know, from my experience, from the buyers that I've been working with, I mean, there's definitely some trepidation to actually pull the trigger and move forward. They want to buy.
Is that a four-syllable word for fear?
I think so. Yeah, fear, fear and trepidation.
Fear and trepidation.
You know, but they want to buy, but they're afraid that they're going to buy, and there's going to be more bad news. I think that if you do your research, you know, if you're working with someone that knows the market, if it's a home you can afford, and if you're in it for longer than a 1 or 2 year outlook, I think it's probably a pretty good time to buy. If it's speculative, then you know, it may not be.
How much longer? What kind of a time horizon would make sense to buyers?
How much longer to wait?
Not to wait, but to. Should I be looking at a 3-year holding period, a 5-year holding period?
I think 3 years is where it really starts to make sense. In 5 years, it starts to make a lot of sense. You know, I think if you're not sure if you're going to need more space or want to live in the same area in a year, then it may not make sense. Where it may have in the past and it may not right now. But the 3 to 5 year outlook, I think you can be pretty confident that we're going to be in a better position than we are now.
We all hope so.
Yeah.
At least, are we close to a bottom, do you think?
Well, I think so. But, you know, I was a lot more confident 3 or 4 months ago. I mean, some of the macro factors, I've always said, you know, Chicago kind of started to bottom out in the late spring. And if you looked at the Case-Shiller and stuff like that, you know, the month over month. And I kind of thought we were pretty close to a bottom. And I still think we are. But the macro stuff has gotten so out of control that it's hard to say.
Okay. Where should buyers? Where are the deals? That's one of the things buyers always want to know. What neighborhoods do you think have some attractive properties in them?
I think they all do. I think they all do. If you buy the right place and you get a good deal, there's good deals everywhere. And, you know, just because the asking price isn't a good deal doesn't mean you can't get a good deal. There's well-priced properties, and there's properties that are not well-priced in every market.
How do you tell?
You gotta know the market and know the comps and know what's happening with the volume in the market and get good advice.
One of the fears some people have is that as you look at Chicago neighborhoods as a series of concentric circles moving out from the most established ones,
Yeah.
the farthest circles out, people are afraid may collapse.
Yeah.
More. Is that happening, do you think? Or?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you look at the outer neighborhoods, a little further from downtown in the Central Business District, they've definitely been harder hit, in my opinion. If you look at the Gold Coast, I think it's actually up. If you start to creep out to, you know, really good neighborhoods, but they're a little further away, places like Albany Park, they've just been hit really hard, way too much inventory. A buying pool that is shrunk with the financing problems. I mean, but again, if you come in and buy right in those neighborhoods, I don't necessarily think it's a problem. You just gotta make sure you're buying right.
If I'm buying, can I get financing, and what kind of what's available out there?
I guess it depends on whether you can afford the unit or not. I think if you pay your bills on time and you have good credit.
Well, this is a novel concept. We haven't heard that one in a while. What do you mean? You're coming at me kind of cold. What do you mean afford?
Well, I think
what's that got to do with it?
If you're a person who pays your bills on time and you have good credit and you know, you have a steady, predictable income where, you know, the house costs you about 30% of your income, that means you can afford it. And you know, if that's the case, you can get a loan. If you want to buy a house that you can't afford, then it's difficult to get a loan.
I'm not going to have to put money down, am I?
Well, You probably are. Maybe a little bit more than you did before. 10% is a good number.
So
In some cases,
we're not going back to the olden days when you had to put 20 down. There's still 90% financing.
there's 90% financing if you have good credit. It changes on a day-to-day basis. If credit's a little bit blemished, 20% is a better number than 10%.
Where would you tell your best friend to buy?
They're probably one of my projects.
I won't ask you which one. That's not fair.
Irreplaceable locations that aren't kind of commodity markets. I mean, I don't want to knock any market in Chicago. They all have their positives and negatives, but markets where if you buy a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in a 300 unit building, where right next door there's a surface parking lot where they can build another 300 unit building. There's no barrier to entry necessarily. That's a little scary right now.
I'm not worried about the parking lot. There are 11 other commodity buildings just like my 300 unit building. So
Yeah.
why should I worry about the parking lot?
Well, I just think that it goes back to irreplaceable locations and barriers to entry in neighborhoods where demand exceeds supply. And I mean, if you're looking at it purely from an investment standpoint, which I don't think any owner-occupied buyer necessarily is, scarcity and demand outstripping supply equals appreciation.